We are headed to the hospital.
What's up, what's up, what's up?
We're fired up.
Yep. We've waited a long time for this, buddy. Looking forward to meeting you tonight. And this is the start of a beautiful life and big things.
We can't wait.
There you go, buddy.
Love you.
Love you.
Actually had Dan, we got pregnant 3 years into our marriage. And we were trying before that, and it just so happened to be that on the 3rd year, DC3 was ready. Sorry in advance if tears come, but it was, again, like I said, pregnancy is a little bit on the slower side, and those last few days and weeks, you're just waiting for this child. Most moms usually go late the first time, and I'll never forget, I went to the doctor during my 39th week appointment, and she said, listen, this kid, he's comfortable. What do you want to do? Do you want to be induced? And Dan and I made the decision that at 1 week plus, so 41 weeks, that we would go. We went into the hospital. We knew that it was planned, and that's the thing. Everyone who has a plan, I can honestly say, it sometimes doesn't go like that. You're gonna get tossed a curveball. And when I went into delivery, I went in at 7 p.m. I was induced, and then by 9 in the morning, I was 9 centimeters dilated. I would think that I would start giving birth fairly soon. And my doctor made the decision to wait until 12 in the afternoon. She gave me my best option to let him lower down the canal as much as he can.
Yeah.
So basically it would be an easier delivery on me. Unbeknownst to us, his heart rate was getting lower and lower as we neared 12. And so when I started pushing, she came into the room, she said, okay, it's go time. And it went from being myself, Dan, the doctor, the nurse, and immediately we kind of knew something was off because my doctor is very calm by nature. And she looked at me and she said, I want you to pay attention to what I'm saying, that we have a little bit of an issue and you only have 3 pushes to get him out. And at that point, I looked at Dan, and again, it was definitely difficult to know that I only had 3 tries, but I pushed once. In between breaks, Dan gave me oxygen. I pushed twice. And then on the 3rd time, he came out, but he wasn't breathing. So the hard part on my end was done. But now I think the most difficult part was emotionally, you just delivered a baby, and you're waiting for the first cry, but the room was dead silent. I look at Dan, Dan looks at me, both of us have water in our eyes, we're not really sure, and basically, it was the longest minute of our life. It went from being the 4 of us to 15 people in the room raced in. Obviously, most of those people were to tend to DC3. And after what felt like eternity, he finally let out his first cry. And at that point, I just realized how my journey was just, I had the perfect pregnancy. I had visions of the perfect delivery, and it didn't go like that. You have to be ready for anything, and I'm so grateful for my experience and that was the way that it happened, that Dan and I look at him in a much different way than had we just had an easy breezy delivery, walked out of there in 2 days. Oh, it's so overwhelming, and I'm sure that other mothers can attest to this. When your first child is, brought to you and in your hands for the first time, you only dream of moments like that, but the feelings surpass what you think it's going to be. I kept looking at Dan, my husband, and I couldn't believe that we made it that far. That's where we were sitting, and this was our new life. There was no turning back. To me, it's just I'll never forget that. We'll have more kids, but you'll never be able to take away that moment from us. You take home a baby who's 7 pounds and 7 ounces. A newborn is so delicate, and you're afraid to care for this child because they're so small and they're not opening their eyes, or if they are, they're going right back to bed. It's eat, sleep, poop, repeat. And when you start to see the first few weeks turn into opening their eyes and a smile, and not just, some people think that maybe your baby might not smile intentionally at 1 month. Dan and I were like, this child is smiling intentionally. He was alert, he was happy. He had FOMO. He didn't even want to go to bed at that point. He was like, okay, this is a good world. So small milestones like the first smile, the first laugh, the rollovers, the sitting, everything. I can't imagine not being there. I will say that he's learning about the world around him, but you're also learning about your new life. It was difficult in different ways. You are the woman is in a blur, and Dan was so tired that we both felt delusional. But every day you get up and you do everything it takes to make it to the next day. I will say, like, the first few days and weeks, I think up until maybe a month or 2 months, I was in a total fog. You're running on no sleep, you're learning on the job, so you're not entirely sure, am I doing everything right, am I wrong? You're Googling things, you're talking to your friends, you're trying to find time to talk to your friends, and so it's kind of boot camp. People will say that it's great, it's amazing, and I think that sometimes we don't talk about how difficult it is, because I will be quite honest, it's very challenging, especially the women who were in the workforce and are home for 3 months, and like I said, it's non-stop. You're just trying to really learn with your child, because every day is something new. You're learning something new about him or her. You're learning something new about your husband. So I think people will tell you, yes, it's difficult, but it's really great. And maybe it's actually the people on the other side of that journey who are about to become pregnant or about to become moms that don't realize until you're in it. I will say, all of my friends that gave me advice, I now know what they're talking about, because I'm there. So family of origin, my family talks about everything. And for Dan, I think it's a little bit more difficult to kind of sit down and let's talk about it. I think this is where we kind of had to meet in the middle, and it was a big change for me, I think, because again, with breastfeeding, I felt like I was nonstop in the nursing chair. I kind of felt a moment where maybe I was a little bit disconnected from Dan. And then I took a moment, I said, okay, is this me? Is this how I'm feeling? Is he feeling the same way? And so when we sat down and we spoke about it, and Dan was quite honest, saying that we're just going through something new. We're both learning. And so the beauty in that allowed me to put aside how I might have been feeling disconnected to, this is just something new. While this might not be a journey that we had before together, this is just, of course, we have a child. And there was a moment where my mom came in and both of us went out to breakfast, and I looked at him and I said, do you remember when it was just us two?
Yeah.
And he was just like, you know what? It feels like ages ago, because that's what it feels like. Even when we have moments where we put Dan to bed and we're on the couch together, it's just a different way with your husband. It's beautiful. Listen, the way that I was before, and you'll see, you changed drastically. I don't even remember how I used to be the way. Now it's kind of like, okay, this is my expectation of it, but this is how it's actually gonna go, or it's a total toss-up. We might not even get any of this. I think that we both have just learned that we have a child, and for the time being, we're just rolling with the punches, that, there's no set plan. And I kind of like that. This is something new for me, and I'm embracing it. And I actually think that I'm looking forward to this new type of way of living because it's rewarding where you don't feel stressed or you're not on a timeline. You run 15 minutes late, but everyone understands, or your
Yeah.
baby cries for half the brunch. Again, this is just, you get through it, you enjoy the people that you're with, you enjoy the moments that you have, and everything else is just extra. And it's crazy to think that a child has changed the way that I think in general, or even the way that, we live our life now. It's great.